You said the big thing is we budgeted for food because we budget for everything. And I think that's just a smart thing to do because we come back from vacation, we're not thinking about, oh man, I got this big bill coming, because the money is actually sitting in the account to pay the bill. We're just waiting for all the charges to settle.
And let's be very clear. There was one thing that we considered doing that for 4 people would have been pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It was an excursion that we chose not to do. Not only because of the money, but because it would have been a 12-hour day. And that just doesn't feel like vacation. So we did
it more like work.
Yes. And it required a flight. It was just a little extra. And so we were like, okay, that's a lot. We did a different excursion and had a lovely time on that excursion, but we did make trade-offs.
Welcome. This is For Better and Worth,
the podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Erica Young, and we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it.
The For Better and Worth podcast is sponsored by American Heritage Credit Union, a not-for-profit credit union that helps you take control of your financial future.
As a member of American Heritage, you're an owner. You'll be charged fewer fees, earn more in the form of dividends on your accounts, and have access to lower rates on loans.
Whether your goal is to save for a down payment on a home, create an emergency fund, or build for the retirement you've always dreamed of, American Heritage has the products, resources, and solutions you need.
After all, American Heritage is for the people, not for profit. So to learn more, go to ahcu.co/for better and worth.
Hey babe, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm feeling great because we just came off an awesome trip. So honestly, it took a couple of days to kind of feel normal again because traveling is a lot when you got to get on multiple planes.
Yeah.
But
it's
I'm
always
good.
fun to get there and to go, but it is always great to get back.
Yes. So,
Yeah, I'm still recuperating.
dude, did you get enough sleep last night?
I actually did, but I came right back to work today and,
Yeah.
you know, instead of my 12,000 steps a day, I think I'm at like 1,200 steps. I've been on the phone so much, but.
So you asked a question while we were on vacation that I thought was really important. And I was like, you know what, let's talk about it on the podcast. And I think actually this is something that we've talked with other friends about too.
Yes. And people have a lot of opinions.
They do. And differing opinions.
Yeah.
And so we're going to share with you our opinions.
Yeah.
But basically,
Because I don't care.
Well, and there's a reason we don't care. So we took our adult children on vacation, a nice vacation, and paid for everything. The only thing that they actually paid for was their little trinkets, souvenirs, things like that.
They went shopping, the things that they saw that they wanted to buy, they bought.
Yeah.
Even though when I'm checking out, you know, people like, oh yeah, hey, can you just throw that in there, Dad?
Right.
I was like, get that out of here. I almost flicked something off the counter, like, get that out of here.
So we have one child that has yet to get her first check from her big girl job. So she's still under our umbrella for a few more weeks.
She is walking around like she is broke.
Oh my gosh, the drama. But in the preparation, there's a lot that goes into that. And then we have another child who has been on her own for 4 years. And as of this year, is off of our insurance as well. So but we paid for everything. And so we get this question, how long do you do this? And while we were there, you said, how long do we do this? And it's not something we had really talked about.
I think it's interesting too because we have daughters.
Yeah.
And yeah, they can pay their way, but you know, they still kind of like, you know, those are my girls, those are my babies. But if I had a son, I'd probably be like, hey bro, What you got on this trip?
So
I hate to feel like I would have a double standard, which it sounds like that's what I just said. I had a double standard, but.
Well, but I think even at this age, though, first of all, they're both going to have single incomes. Like, they're not partnered up, they're not married or anything like that. So honestly, their income is quite limited to what's coming in and going out. That's it. There's no strings attached, right? And so
There's no dual income, no kids going on. So.
That part. And so I think that does come into play. And the other part of it, for me as a parent, I don't want my kids to have any barriers to them coming on the trip with us, because our oldest, she has a limited amount of vacation, or, you know what I mean, times that she can take off. And I think that plays into, this is a big, important thing for us to connect as a family. And our youngest, once she starts working, she'll be in that same predicament of how does she spend her vacation time?
And partly, like, I'm sure parents are out there thinking about, well, and we encountered, this was interesting. We encountered several parents, same age, kids, our daughter's age and older, that had done the same thing. They had paid for their kids to be there with them on vacation. And what it told me is that, like, I value that connection with my family and my children more than the dollars that it cost me to go on the trip. And fortunately, we can pay to do that, and it's not a detriment to us, or we're not sacrificing. So like, we budgeted for the trip, and the trip was paid for, and we budgeted for, you know, what we would spend for food and things like that. And so for me, it was like, I already accounted for spending the money, so I'm not as concerned about it. But I think the bigger thing is I value the connection and the relationship, because we are about to be fully empty nested.
That's wild to me.
Yes.
And I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
I know the closer it gets and the reality sets in, life is just shifting. You know, we're entering a new phase as they are entering a new phase. And I think it's scary for them to leave the covering of our home, and they want to step into adulthood, and they're well equipped.
Our oldest was more eager.
Yes.
She was ready to get out of our house when she went to college, and she was eager. So she only stayed in our home for a week, and then she moved in to her campus dorm because she had a summer program. And then she stayed in our home for 2 months, and then we moved her in when she got her big girl job.
Yeah,
and
she was out of here pretty quick.
And the other part of that is she's also the child who's like, you know, if I could get her a t-shirt, it would say, not adulting today. Like, she wars, and I think young people do this a lot. Like, they war on how adult they want to be. And I think that's valid. And so,
I think when they want to be adults.
And our youngest pushed her start date out so that she was home for 5 months. And so I think that's a big deal. And so for me, this trip represented several things. And we shared this with the girls when we were there, but it represented our youngest graduating. And so, you know, us being fully empty nesters, but
we were celebrating her.
And then our home payoff. Woohoo! Yes! Like, to me, I really wanted us to connect together as a family around that conversation. And I just think prior to our youngest having limited amount of vacation time, like, this was important. So, and now our conversations are, how often are we gonna get together to do this? You know, because we don't know what their schedules and things are gonna look like.
And I remember we had a friend who was saying, like, who was questioning, well, why are you still paying for them to go on vacation? I was like, because I want to.
Yeah.
Because I can.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to first of all, I want to go where I want to go.
That part.
Okay. And if I want them to come with me, I'm not going to force them to be in some sort of financial stress so they can come. Yes. Now, as they are established, maybe I say, hey, you need to take care of your airfare in the future. You know, I'll take care of the hotel accommodations, or maybe I'll put some other parameters in. But I feel like when you can do better, you know, do better. And you know, before you say it, you say it ain't tricking if you got it. You know, so I was like, look, you know, I'm gonna just be out here with my baby girls.
Daddy Warbucks over here. Like,
I don't know about all that, but you know what I'm saying?
I do think that now truthfully, I personally, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like you want to be the provider, the caretaker, the person who is making this experience occur. And I think that comes into play as well. For me, I just want there to be no barriers for us to all get together. And like you said, the type of trip that they can afford is not the type of trip we took them on. We took them on a trip we can afford. And there's a difference, right? And so I don't want them feeling like they can't do it because they got to pay for something. So
I was starting to say, like, roll back on all this ordering the most expensive thing. Like, calm down. You know, we told our one, are you limited to one drink a day? Like,
right.
It's not drinks with every meal. You know, like, calm down.
and there,
I felt myself getting a little nitpicky, even though, you know, I was like, hold on, you know, we got paying for all these meals. Like,
so here's the thing: we have raised girls who have expensive tastes. Let's be clear, and let's be so because we're on vacation. I don't want a bunch of leftovers sitting in the refrigerator. I don't want to waste food. My biggest pet peeve is wasted stuff, wasted time, wasted money, wasted food. I don't like it, and so I'm like, you know what? This meal, I'm not going to order nothing. Or I ordered an appetizer that I really, really wanted. And I was like, hey, can I have some of your fish? Like, and
it's so funny because you all started looking at me. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to eat what's left. Because I know you all are, one, not going to eat all this food.
Which is why, again, I started to say, I did it 2 or 3 times where I was like, I'm not ordering a main entree because I know I don't want to waste any food. So anyway, I think in my mind, I wasn't being cheap. I was trying to be resourceful.
Yeah.
And again, I only did it like 2 or 3 times, but it was helpful because honestly, we left with not very much in the refrigerator, like 1 or 2 slices of pizza when we had pizza, and that's it.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see what your takes are. Like, drop your take in the comments and let us know what you think about how long would you pay. But I think we've committed to family vacations and those broader experiences. I'd rather create those memories because they remember the trips that we've taking them on versus the things that we bought them, because I think that's where connection occurs.
Yeah.
And we took different times and moments to just, you know, really just slow down and have fun as a family. And this was a different, like, slower paced vacation than we've done in the past. And I think I will continue to do it just because I value that so much more than many other things. And I think another component to this is that because I felt like our roles shifted on this vacation a little bit. Because at one point I was like I do have a credit card that I will use, but we pay it off. I think I pay the credit card off sometimes before the transactions even post. I'll be like, oh, I know I just spent this, it's coming. I almost prepay my credit card so we don't maintain a balance on a credit card. But I was on vacation. I said, let me look at this card statement. And I looked at it and you were like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. And that is so opposite of what happens when we're at home. You're asking me, well, what does this do? Or what's going on? I'm like, I got it. Calm down.
Well, because that was one role. That was me being on vacation. So I didn't want to do work.
Yes.
And maintaining the budget and the finances.
Vacation brain kicked in.
Well, I wanted to protect vacation brain. That's why
That's a
I
good way
said
to
to
put
you,
it.
I said, I don't want to know. It's fine if you want to look at it, but I wasn't interested in knowing. And I bought some things on our debit card, whatever, like while we were out and about, and I wasn't interested in adding that stuff up yet. And here's the thing. I heard years ago someone say they went on vacation and they were flabbergasted. I like that word. Flabbergasted at how much something cost when they were trying to get some food at the, on poolside. And, she warred with herself on whether or not she was going to buy this thing or just order this food. And I feel like I sit in that state a lot more than other people in my family. Like the rest of y'all don't really think about that. For me, I do that quite a bit. And this was the first time where I was like, I am committed to not doing that because I actually want to unplug from
you were trying to enjoy
adding it up.
You were trying to enjoy yourself.
And so I just completely unplugged from that. And it required me to protect that. I didn't look at email. I had an out of office on, and it does at home, maintaining the house. One of the biggest things that I do is the money, and I wanted to unplug from that as well because that's work. And so I'm honestly proud of myself for that because there were plenty of moments where, and I still, a couple days later, have not sort of fully resolved all of the transactions and all of the spending yet, and I'm good. The other reason though is one, the biggest thing is we paid for the hotel and we paid for the airfare.
That was all done before
months
we
ago.
left. Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
All of that
was done.
Done.
That was like five, almost 5.5 months ago.
So we did all of that, and we, in our budget for this month, we had set aside an allotment of, and we added up like how much we might spend each day just to get a good feel for it. And so we set aside money. So even though you actually have a credit card bill to pay off, we actually have the money in our account.
It's already in the account.
It was already budgeted.
Yeah.
And so I'm in my mind, I'm
Credit card
like,
was strictly for convenience. You know, I don't know, it's a foreign country, and I feel more comfortable using the credit card company's money, putting that at risk than actually putting my debit card at risk.
yeah. And so we had already
Some people will say
planned.
I'm crazy to feel that way, but that's the way I feel.
A lot of people do that though. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
most of what you use the credit card for is for travel. And so in the heat of the moment, it felt good to just unplug from it all. And that's a real vacation.
It is. And I'll say this, like, we found out there was an option for like an all-inclusive, which we didn't opt for. And it turns out, had we opted for all-inclusive, it would have cost us double what we actually spent. And so I think as people are listening to this, sometimes all-inclusive is cool. Sometimes it works. But in this is 2 trips that we've gone on, and they offered us all-inclusive, and we said no. Because one, the cost was significantly more than we actually spent on food. And on this particular trip, we left the property for almost every meal.
Almost every dinner out. Like
every dinner out, and for half the breakfast, we left the property. And so I think we had experiences that were very different than if we had just tried to dine at the property every day. And I think it made our trip just that much more enjoyable.
Do you want to say where we went?
I mean, I sure.
We went to Belize.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
It was amazing. Like, I would totally go back. The food was fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was so neat to be in and amongst the people and in this, like, literally in the city. You rent a golf cart and you go find the place where you're going to go eat, or, it was just really cool.
I feel like, I always say I eat to live. I'm not a big foodie. Like, you love food, but the food was on point. Like, I don't think we had any bad meals.
I think you had an Erica experience, didn't you? Our last night.
The food was great.
But for real, babe, on that last night,
The food was great. It was good food. Yeah, I said it was good.
You had an out of body experience like I do sometimes.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you
go a little too far, but I'm not going that far. The food was good. I said it.
The second to the last night, we went somewhere and I had never tasted fish that good.
Yeah, you enjoyed yourself.
I was holding my fork on my empty plate because I didn't want her to take my plate yet because my daughter wasn't finished eating and she kept giving me some fish. It just kept appearing. My fish was multiplying. And I need my fork and I want my plate.
Erica,
yes.
Come back. Come back.
Listen.
You know it's a problem though.
There's a big girl in here that's trying to get out and I'm really suppressing her because she likes to eat.
You know it's a problem when the waitress says, I'm not gonna fight you for a plate. You can keep it.
It was so good. So we enjoyed the food, the sun, we're tanned, and the water and the people and just relaxing. It was great. It was just such a great time. And so I feel like that's what vacation ought to be.
I think some of the bigger things that I would want people to get from this is like we always talk about money and relationships, like our relationship, couples relationships, but your relationships with your kids are just as important because that's a big part of the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And for us to invest the time in our family is very important to me. And I think the thing that I would want people to think about is like you can do these same things. You just have to plan for it because we were planning before we landed on a trip and before we paid for it. We were thinking about it. We were doing research. And then when we decided and we paid for the trip, that was off the table. That wasn't a concern or worry anymore. And we didn't have any debt that was going to linger after we paid for the flights, pay for the actual trip. And we use different travel services that, you can put money down and you can pay over time. So it doesn't have to be a big financial, investment all at once. If you can't pay it off, cool, just pay it and do it. But we like to take advantage of that to just pay over time and just, fund it. So once we get, within a certain window, trip is paid for. And then, like you said, the big thing is we budgeted for food because we budget for everything. And I think that's just a smart thing to do because we come back from vacation, we're not thinking about, oh man, I got this big bill coming, because the money is actually sitting in the account to pay the bill. We're just waiting for all the charges to settle.
And let's be very clear. There was one thing that we considered doing that for 4 people would have been pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It was an excursion that we chose not to do. Not only because of the money, but because it would have been a 12-hour day. And that just doesn't feel like vacation. So we did
more like work.
Yes. And it required a flight. It was just a little extra. And so we were like, okay, that's a lot. We did a different excursion and had a lovely time on that excursion, but we did make trade-offs. Like I made a couple of trade-offs in making sure that we didn't waste food or money. But also we decided that there was not going to be this, do whatever you want at any cost, because frankly, let's be very clear, that didn't align with what we had planned to spend either. It would have definitely taken us over.
That's a very good point, because I think people will also go on vacation and be like, caution to the wind. Do it all. Do everything. When are we coming back? It's like, well, that may be true, but we're going to go back. I'm pretty convinced we're going to go back, and I will do one of those excursions then.
For sure.
But I feel like I have no regrets. I enjoyed myself. And I just really want people to think about that as you're planning. There's ways to do it that, you don't have to derail the budget. You don't have to derail savings because you end up taking money out of savings to fund this thing, which isn't an emergency.
Yeah.
This is strictly entertainment and enjoyment. That there is nothing about this that's an emergency.
Yeah. So I want to circle back to one of our original conversations around this is like, I don't see us spending money for our kids to go on vacation with us indefinitely, especially as families grow.
Yeah.
So there's two parts to this. One is if we're going somewhere and it's a hotel situation or an Airbnb or what have you, like I would love at some point for them to just get their flight because they know when they can arrive and they can figure that out. They can come a day early or late or whatever. Let them figure out their own flight situation and maybe we take care of the hotel or Airbnb. Then the next level could be that when they have a family of their own, like you might have to pay for your kiddos, like, because here's the thing, or to get them there and that kind of thing, or to have your own hotel room. And then we can pick up the tab on food here and there, that kind of thing, bring some flexibility to it. But I
want
think
it to be our option to do it, not our obligation to do it.
That part. So I think that you can negotiate as kids and families grow, like how much you decide to do. But for now, I just think that because our kids are single and they are trying to grow in their careers and they don't have a whole bunch of disposable income, because here's the thing, I would rather them put money in their 401ks or Roth IRAs
than to spend it on going on vacation with us.
That's what's up. So that's the investment that I would make.
We told them we good.
Yeah, we're good, right?
You make sure you're going to be good.
Yeah, and we want to support that, right?
Yes.
And so I think that there can be different ways to do this as a family progresses. And typically, at some point, people, grandparents start paying for the grandkids stuff and all that, right? And so I feel like that's a conversation eventually that we'll have. But the other part of it is, how often do we do something like this? And
I think we've been reasonable in that we say, like, this will probably be every couple years that we do a big trip with them. But we're going to get together every year. You know, like, even if it's stateside or something on a smaller scale, we're going to do something every year, but something big maybe every couple years. And I think that as our kids, enter into relationships or marriages, that's something that we'll have to talk about. We will discuss where we're going to go. And we will discuss the cost associated. This is the way I see it working.
Yeah.
We'll discuss the cost associated with it. And then we'll make a determination on like how much of this they should pay or how much we pay. Or I see it being a combo because depending upon if they're, saving for a house or, they're making a big purchase, I'm not going to dictate how they spend their money, but I would like to have a conversation. If you want to go on vacation, you expect me to pay.
Well, I do think that we can lead that and we can create what we want to create. And the whole point, I think, in the end, is for us to all connect and keep our relationship intact.
Right.
Give everybody a way to relax
100%.
And to feel good about where we are as a family and all of that. And if we can create that type of environment, then we are doing our job. And so, and frankly, I mean, this isn't the only time. We actually have another trip this year that we're going to get the Airbnb for. We may pay for flights to get, probably more than 90% likely that we'll pay for the flights for our kids to get there because it's not coming home. And but again, like that's not going to be this level of trip at all. This is going to be very, very different. But I want to feel like there's no barriers to them, participating. And that's the big point to me.
I think when we started this podcast and we started having these conversations and discussion, early on, we said our goal was to change our family tree. And that was our goal when we first got married. That was one of the things that we said we wanted to change our family tree. And that was financial. That was in how we have relationship and connectedness. We wanted to do some things differently. And I think we've accomplished a lot of those things. And so I feel like that dynamic it will translate to them and their families, and they will continue to evolve and continue the things that we've created with their families.
Yeah.
And so in the context of changing our family tree, the investment is worth it to me.
Absolutely.
And so I think as people consider this for themselves, I say all things are possible, but you do have to plan, you have to strategize, and you have to save. And, when you do those things, you can make different types of decisions.
So, you said something about you have to plan, you have to save. And I think that even if it's not on a grand scale, people can figure out how to prioritize connection, because the other part of this, you mentioned this too, that, we wanted to change our family tree. And part of the legacy that we want to leave is not just financial. It is how we stay connected, that we stay, wanting to be with one another, right? And so we have to invest in that. And this is a part of that too. But my
Relationships require investment.
Absolutely. My mother, as a single parent, every year she tried to do something. So we would drive to a neighboring state, go to Cedar Point or
to a theme park.
Yes, or we drove. I remember specifically when we went to the U.S. side of the Niagara Falls and had a great time. She was doing a similar thing. She didn't have a lot of funds to do something grand like what we just did, but I remember how much fun we had on those trips. It was very special for us. So my sister and I and my mom have a great connection. And it's because she was intentional about planning for those types of trips. So I think on any budget, it can be done. It's just making sure that there's no sorrow when you get home because you went over and you didn't plan appropriately, you know?
So I'm gonna get to my make it worth it.
Okay.
To me, I've said that once the money is gone, it's gone. I'll make more money. And so I think sometimes you have to just decide where you want to make the investment. Because people can do a lot of things. And you hear me say this all the time, like maybe not on the podcast, but people spend money on what they want to spend money on. Be it, clothing, bags, cars, vacation, whatever. People spend money on the things they want to spend money on. And they find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so my make it worth it is prioritize what is most valuable to you. And that's where you make your investment. And so if somebody asks me, how long am I going to do this? I will say, I'm prioritizing what's most valuable to me. And that's where I'm making my investment.
I love that. Oh, that's so good. I don't know if I can do a better make it worth it. That was good. Here's the thing. One, I want to just publicly thank you because we did prioritize that and you have women in your life and we are not cheap. We are also not extravagant, but I remember towards the end of the week when you were like, I'm surrounded by women, and that
y'all starting to get on my nerves.
and so I know that that plays into it as well because it does change the dynamic of the type of trip. But you
notice towards the end when we met some other couples, and there were some guys that I connected with. You saw that my dynamic. It changed because I was like, I got some brothers I can chop it up with.
You needed some testosterone.
Right, because you all were talking about stuff. I was like, I don't even have anything to add to this conversation.
But we all had our little moments. And so it was all worth it. Like when we created this podcast, we wanted to feel like people didn't have to choose between having a great relationship and having a net worth. And I don't feel like we sacrificed or that we had to choose when it came to this vacation. I feel like it's never perfect, but this was as close to perfect as I think we could get. And it was because we all got a chance to relax. So the money was worth it. The time was worth it. The sacrifice of spending it was worth it, right? And so my hope is that people can find that as well, because it's, like you said, an investment in the relationship and on the scale that you can do it so that you have no debt when you come home.
And just like that, there it is.
There it is. So
so
until our next vacation.
Right. And so I hope people take away whatever they need to take away from this, but all things are possible.
Let's do it.
Until next time.
We're out.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on forbetterandworth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.